across here. You can have 5 beams. If it's 20 foot wide, you probably want to go with 30 foot beams, so you got 5 foot
on each side. Yeah.
And that, you know, that's going to be a less expensive thing. And it doesn't look that heavy duty. Like everything's. Hey, Dad.
You driving?
No, I'm with a client down here, and one of the guys was actually a physician, and he was actually his 2 brothers were dentists. Interesting group.
A brother dentist.
I'll talk to you in a bit. Bye. My father retired, and they took off on their mega yacht and have been traveling ever since.
Oh, nice.
They were in Europe for 8 years. They called me up one day. Well, I knew this was coming, but they're coming back from Mexico. We're going to be off Grand Isle at 6 in the morning. Can you meet us there?
Come here now.
And so I'm like, okay. And then I brought them up through the waterway up to New Orleans, my place.
Man, that must be nice. The mega yacht, huh?
I want to just be one of his deckhands. I want to be his dog. I want to be his dog on the hook.
There you go.
But you know, he walked up hills and blowing snow both directions.
Of course, of course.
He's hardcore. Yeah, no, this needs to be leveled. There's not much weight here, so I don't think it's going to be that big a deal. I mean, to be honest with you, if we drove the pilings, put the steel I-beams in, I mean, I don't know what your group of guys are like.
They're pretty handy.
This thing right here, once the steel I-beams are slid underneath and set on blocks,
yeah,
you know, all this is going to take is some 20-ton bottle jacks to jack it up and level it. You got to block it up, jack it up, stick a block in, jack it up, stick a block in, and that's it.
Gotcha.
You know, I mean, that would be the easiest way to do it. We'd probably drive the pilings on one side, pick the highest point, put the first beam in, and just lift it with our excavator. You know?
Gotcha.
But if you guys wanted to go that route, and it's a lot of work. You know what I mean? You'd be out here a month of Sundays for sure.
Right.
Messing with it. But if the guys want to go that route, I mean, if we...
You mean just jacking it up and not doing anything else, just level.
He's saying, yeah.
But leave the pilings high. I mean, where the work comes in is drilling through those pilings, you know, with big drills and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's probably the most intense part of it. Pumping a little bottle jack isn't any big deal.
Right.
I mean, as long as you've got the cribbing and moving the cribbing around and bracing it up and that kind of thing.
Right.
And be very sensible and smart about it. Don't be dumbasses and get crushed under it.
Right,
you know?
right.
But I mean, shit, look at how much higher that corner was. I'm assuming that was...
Yeah, that's the height that it was. Yeah.
So, I mean, it looks like you need to come up like maybe a foot in the back here, maybe 2 foot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just walk through here.
Oh, I can see it. I can absolutely see it. I mean, what a
be
cool...
here at night when it's dark.
tripping and falling down in here.
That's right.
Yeah, no, this is cool. This is a really neat little spot. Nice bunk room. What a party spot.
Yeah, it works out well.
Cooker.
Oh no, it's been a great place. It's, you know, like I said, and there's I mean, we got 7 including me. Well, maybe 6. And then Juan. No, I'm not sure Juan's.
It's just so close to New Orleans.
Anyway,
it's a nice location.
Yeah, that's. I'm kind of new to this, so it's been great for me.
We got to talk to them and see how they want to do this.
Yeah, I'll work with you guys. I mean, I could scale it back. I mean, for us to come out here and drive the pilings and slide the beams in, not including the material, you're probably somewhere in the $15,000 range. Okay, but
can you give us some options in terms of 15 versus putting the deck back on or whatever? You know, give.
Well, I mean, I can break it down however you want, but it basically, I would see if you have any participation in who's going to help you finish the job.
Yeah.
We've done a bunch of these things where everybody's gung ho and it gets going, and then, then it dies.
It sounds.
Some of these guys live in Florida.
Yeah, so it's kind of a.
We got people in Slidell, Kenner.
Yeah.
We live in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And I don't do it. I'm an old man. I just direct. But no, I mean we're talking about getting enough work groups. They have to come in from out of town. So
there are some issues with this camp. I mean, this beam right here is really shoddy. I mean, it is crappy. You might think about if you're going to go through. I mean, it's so tough because everything is kind of falling apart. It just wasn't. You know, you got rot going on. You're going to have to stop that. Let me just take a peek at the construction underneath. The floor joists are 2x6s. That's crazy, but it's working for you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, well, it didn't work well, did it?
no, it's just such light. It's such light timber compared to what really should be under there. I mean, look at this beam right here. Obviously, that has to be replaced.
Oh, it's cracked.
Right.
It's broken.
You know, that's not got much more life. One day you guys are going to come out here and that's going to be sticking through the floor. Because that's, for whatever reason, that one hasn't sunk and everything else
Everything
has.
else did. That's the one right in the center of the
Yeah.
floor in there.
You're going to have to do a lot of carpentry before we, you know, just brace stuff up and go up very, very, very slowly with it. But it's totally doable. I mean, you know, it's just, everything's kind of sagging, and once you get those beams under there, you'll have a monster. I mean, it'll be so strong you won't have to worry about it.
Right.
You know, the way that I'm used to doing these things is so that they last a long time, and if that's not the goal, to make it last another 30, 40 years, then this is a mess. I mean, it can be fixed, but it's a mess. I'm trying to think. The rest of it seems good. In my mind, I'm weighing, is it cheaper for them to tear this down and start over? Or is it, I mean, I think in today's dollars, if you're going to build this thing, you're going to be into $100,000.
Wow.
I just do. Unless you got some, you know, you're going to end up with a structure like what you have if you go less than that.
Yeah.
That's the problem. So I think it might be cheaper for y'all just to go ahead and brace it up and fix it.
No, he's saying it might be cheaper just to go ahead and try to save it.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's cheap.
Yeah. It's just it's a tough deal. Because you're gonna have to a lot of lumber, a lot of timber that's gonna go into it. Before we could get involved in it, we'd have to, you know, put some engineering on it. Like I say, because it's in the shape that it's in.
Yeah.
I mean, this stuff right here is not. See how this border is totally split?
Yeah.
And what happens is when you lift on this,
It's gonna crack.
yeah, it's going to want to roll this. So we're going to have to sister this with probably an 8x8 piece of timber right inside it. You know, and then it's not going to be underneath the wall. You really want your weight underneath the wall. The way this was built is all wrong. This shouldn't be sticking out further than the building here. But I mean, it can be done. I mean, we could put a timber right in here, and then all the weight is there, and then you're only cantilevering 3 inches, 4 inches out there, 3 inches, two bys. So it's a lot of work either way. I mean, it's not going to fix itself for sure. A lot of them that we look at, you know, sometimes when you lift it up, it's all perfect. But
Right.
that's not going to happen here. There's too much broken wood underneath.
Okay.
I mean, what you have there can be saved, but there's just a lot of carpentry. And it'd be a long material list to really get you a super accurate price on this thing. I'd have to make another trip out here with my draftsman so that he could really just everything and figure it out.
Yeah.
So get with your group, see what they want to do, and at that point, you know, we could take it to the next level. There's no simple fix for what you got here.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the building's worth saving, and it looks like the inside is fairly intact. I mean, it looks decent, and once it's leveled up and straightened, you might have something that'll last you a long time.
Gotcha.
Market it to your other. You have to market it to your partners.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I mean, everybody wants to save it, but I don't think everybody wants to come off a boatload of money on it either, especially if it's, you know, of course it sounds like it'd be long term if we did all that.
Yeah.
I mean,
what happens is once you get the equipment and stuff out here to do it, it's really not that crazy a job. Once you get the manpower out here to do it, it's totally doable. But you got to make the commitment that you want it.
Yeah.
It's not just jacking it up. It's all the rest of the stuff that's going to happen when you jack it up.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, those beams are just under tremendous stress right now, and so who knows? Some of them may be so warped. We'll get the beams, the steel I-beams will be perfectly flat, you know, level when we're done. but the rest of the structure, it may take time for those things to relax back down to where they're flat, because they're all warped up right now.
Right.
This didn't happen overnight. It happened over.
No, it did not.
I mean, I got an idea of what you want to do here, and I got some real basic, dimensions and stuff. Talk to your group, see what they want to do.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah, that's a major problem.
I've seen a bunch of times where a guy with a pickup truck and a hammer comes out and says, "I can fix this." He cannot stabilize it. He can make it look good and that kind of thing. It's going to take a lot to get it straight.
Right.
But doable. Totally doable.
All right.
Sorry to be the bearer of bad news.
that's all right.
No. Well, that's what we needed to know, is whether, how much it was going to take to save it, if it's worth saving, and if we just need to start over.